We got the closing bell sounding on this Wednesday, July 1st. The S&P 500 definitely settling in off its best levels of the day, but still holding on to about a 3.5-point gain here at 922. Checking in on the Dow Jones Industrial Average, up about 54 points, up 0.2% at 8501. And let's see what's going on in the Nasdaq here as we settle in. A gain of about 0.5% at 1845.
All right, consumer staples leading the charge. Utilities also higher. They were big laggards, remember, yesterday. You see consumer staples up 1 2/3%, utilities up 1 1/4%. Financials off just slightly there at the end of the day, off about 0.5%. And the healthcare index, if you want to see slightly, that's it, right on the line there, basically unchanged. Let's go back down to New York Stock Exchange after stocks get a bounce today, the first day of the quarter, following the strongest quarter since 1998 for the S&P 500. Lydia Thew standing by to give us the rundown. Lydia?
That's right, Matt. We did start off the second half of 2009 with a bounce in stocks and a decently strong rally, although it did sort of peter out there towards the end of the trading session. Now, investors had plenty of economic data to sift through, and we've only got more coming tomorrow with that jobs data coming out tomorrow. Lots of focus will be on that. But as for today, we got ISM manufacturing showing that manufacturing still contracting, but at a slowing pace. Pending home sales rising for a fourth consecutive month. ADP payrolls showing that more jobs were lost than had been expected. So kind of a mixed picture when it comes to the economic data we got today. As for what led the rally today, consumer staples, especially the food and drink stocks, really very strong throughout the day. Constellation Brands rising the most in the S&P 500. They did have an earnings beat. Their earnings beat expectations. Also saw strength in shares of Kraft as well as General Mills, raising their 2010 profit forecast. Also, their fourth quarter earnings were up 94%. So you saw strength throughout the day in a lot of those food and beverage stocks. Also, we did get some news out of China early today. Chinese PMI, their manufacturing expanding for the fourth consecutive month. That helped give a boost to some of the material stocks. I know Laura's going to get into that in a little bit, but I do want to also point out shares of Gannett. Remember, that is the publisher of USA Today. Unfortunately, more bad news for those of us in the journalism industry. Gannett saying that they are going to be cutting about 1,400 workers. Now, the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal had reported yesterday that job losses were expected. We now have that confirmed. 1,400 jobs to be cut at Gannett. Now, Gannett shares did end the day higher, but those shares are down actually by more than 50% so far this year.
All right, Lydia, as you know, it's a holiday week. We're getting closer and closer to July 4th. I mean, I'm guessing in terms of trader activity, not too much.
Not too much. Every trader I've spoken to is talking about their weekend plans. I'm looking forward to playing golf myself, but I must say, I was speaking to Dave Henderson of Drew Stock, and he actually expects volume to be light tomorrow, even though we do have that jobs number coming out. And today, look, fewer than 1 billion shares traded on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange. You know, a couple other people saying to me that means that you shouldn't necessarily read too much into the move that we got today because there's not a ton of money behind it. The other thing I want to point out when it comes to volume or sort of trading activity, I want to mention that we had our first outflow from equity funds, according to the Investment Company Institute data. So the most recent week, we saw an outflow, a net outflow of about $800 million coming out of equity funds. And that's the first time we've seen that in a couple of months. So also something to keep an eye on. We have noticed this rally sort of petering out over the past month and a half or so. When I say rally, I mean the rally off the March